Hello, and welcome to Hired, the show where I, Caitlin, an aerospace engineer and writer, used my self-defined method to try to find a job and explore new opportunities. This is week 10, and this week is focused on making opportunities for yourself. So here's my current status, just so everybody can catch up to where I am. I've submitted over 15 different job applications, about evenly split between writing and engineering, so I'm trying to get into both fields, and applying for more jobs in different fields is probably helpful and beneficial. So looking at my theory to get me a job, I have update materials, network, and develop skills. So for update materials, I typically write individualized, specialized applications, which I will discuss more. For networking, I'm going to the AIAA Space Expo next week, and I use Twitter. I will explain that further as well. And as you guys have noticed, I've been focused on projects a lot lately, and for me, this is the best way for me to develop skills because I like to have a goal in mind. So once again, here's the entire thing all together, that once I build the foundation, hopefully I'll make it through the interview process and eventually to a job. So since we're starting with updating materials, I'm going to start with my applications this time instead of my projects. So one of the ones I submitted last week was an analytical report writer. So again, I wrote a specialized resume highlighting my technical knowledge and writing ability because it was an analytical report. So they should have been a bit more interested in the fact that I was an engineer than other companies. I also exchanged emails for networking, which was great. I wanted to give another example of writing specialized resumes. When I submitted my resume to Boeing, they have a lot of keywords and key skills that people need to do the job. And what I do is I try to incorporate those key terms into my resume. For example, a lot of it was about using Six Sigma and lean engineering. I did a couple of projects at my old job that were not really lean engineering because they used different terminology. So what I did was I changed the terminology to the terminology that Boeing used. It's not changing it at all, it's just translating it so that it'll pop up on their keyword finder. So as you can see, these are all my applications. I've kept Aerojet and Planetary up there as well as AIAA because those are the ones I'm most interested in. Haven't made too much progress except that I signed up to be a social media ambassador at AIAA Space, which was pretty exciting. So I get a special badge and I'll be able to tweet about AIAA Space, and AIAA will probably retweet some of my tweets since they're looking for them. And for develop skills, you see I've started listing projects and how each project will help me develop skills for that particular job. A lot of them say CASAS, which should be the first project that I discuss. Here it is. The CASAS project is what would you send to the International Space Station. This is a NASA project that they just recently did. It's due on September 16th if anybody else wants to try it. So it's proposing an experiment to take up to the ISS. They're hoping to find one with a broad scope and commercial applications so that, something that perhaps you can only do in space and not on Earth. So I've shown what I've done so far and what skills are being developed from that. So I'm building some writing skills from having to draft a proposal. And an unusual thing that I did was I tried to create an image of my experiment using Photoshop. So that was a nice new challenge, and it finally got me started on developing my Photoshop skills. So if you're interested in doing the What Would You Send to the ISS project, the link's at the bottom. If you search what would you send to the ISS, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. It's a pretty cool project. Next I'm going back to, again, the National Association of Science Writers membership. Again, you see I've reorganized it though, so now I have the goal and the task completed and the skills developed. So I'm still trying to get published articles so I can get reference letters. Last week I posted an article on my blog, and I posted a link to the blog on Twitter. You can see my example at the bottom. The first couple times I don't think I did it right. I said, check out my blog. That doesn't really work as well as writing about the topic itself. So if you do start a blog, I would suggest writing about the topic and what people would want to read on your blog, not so much like, I'm awesome, come check out my blog. I figured out pretty quick that that doesn't work as well. I also read 3 books by Malcolm Gladwell, who's a science writer. That was pretty entertaining to me at the very least, and it was also a good look into how a successful science writer writes. So that was that project that's ongoing. Here is what my blog post looks like if you guys want to see it. So I'm trying to make it look professional, and now I have 3, which is great. My next step is to try to get it into a science blog aggregator so that when people search in the aggregator they find mine. So that's one thing I'm going to try to do this month. Next, I'm still making progress on my novel. I made it another, now I'm at 34,300 words. My skills developed are a little funny. Wrote one new chapter is a persistence skill because it's hard to keep writing something that long. It's really easy to just let go and start something new and something more exciting. So persistence, that's what I'm learning through this novel. And those are the major projects that I worked on this week. So as I said, what was coming up is the AIAA Space Expo, which I will be a social media ambassador. And as you can see, there won't be a video next week because I will be at the expo starting on Tuesday, and I'm flying down to California before then. So those are some things I'm hoping to do at the expo. And this is basically why I called this week Creating Opportunities for Yourself. I have so many opportunities of people to meet there. An opportunity to write and tweet for the AIAA is pretty amazing. It was expensive to do, and it's really hard to justify that when you're unemployed. But doing it is going to be so worthwhile. Just preparing myself and getting excited about what's going to go on there, it's just been great. So even though it's hard to put up the money at first, I would highly recommend finding something like this in your field if you're looking for a job. You know, get out there, start meeting people, blog about it, tweet about it, whatever you do best, and just put yourself out there. I think eventually it's going to come back and it's gonna help out. It's hard to get the ball rolling. The more things you do, the better chance you have. At least that's what I think. So that is week 10. You guys won't see me next week for week 11 because I will be in California. So good luck to everyone, and I will be back with a new video in 2 weeks. Thanks for watching.